What's going on YouTube? Heylow here with a 2v2 matchup for Total War Warhammer 2. Today, Bigmonch and I are going to be bringing you a battle with Chaos and the Dwarves versus two teams of Skaven. So let's dive right in, okay? Alright, so today we have Sarthorael and a Dwarf Lord joining forces to defend some poor peasant's shack from the hordes of Skaven. So for the front line over here for Chaos, we have all Chaos Warriors with a unit of Mirror Guard, and they are going to be supported by a Chaos Warrior with Halberds, as well as a Chaos Warrior with Halberds on the flank over here to support the Dwarf forces. The Weird Spawn with Armor Sundering, great unit. They're going to be backing up the front line, hitting any high armor units, maybe chipping away if they have any help hits, bring it down so we can do some nuke damage on it. In the back, we have two units of Forsaken just to protect our artillery pieces, as well as the Demon Spew with their poison. Great units, really good support. You don't see them taking too much for Chaos, just because Chaos Warriors generally are a lot more durable and have similar damage output, other than with Frenzy. But you keep them in the back line and use them to support, and they will do very well. Keep their leadership high, and they'll put out some serious damage. So they're going to be back here to support in case any units get into the artillery or any of those Skaven slave summons in the back to interrupt. So for the dwarves over here, that dwarf lord bringing up a full front line of iron breakers and longbeards. They are going to be supported by 3 units of quarrelers over here. We're going to have the master engineer supporting with all these cannon and ranged component buffs. And then 2 grudge throwers fanned out here throughout our formation. So that is going to be it for us. Nice defensive geometry formation here. You always want to try and tier your defenses. You don't want to just have one thick giant blob front line. You want to do something like this where you're going to have like your iron breakers, high strength holding power unit. They're going to sit up front, drop their shots. You're going to have your longbeards here to support. Have these little tiered gaps so that when units get caught up here, you can plug those holes. And then like the halberds back here, in case anything large manages to punch through, they're going to hold it up. You don't want to just do one straight line, because once it gets plowed through, it's basically over. You're going to have to disrupt your entire formation just to try and run back there and catch it. So then over here, yeah, we're going to have the halberds in support in case anything large comes in, and then the weird spawn as well to chew through any tough infantry or heroes, monsters, things like that. So then for the Skaven over here, we're going to hop in. We've got the Plague Claw Catapult. We've got some Storm Vermin with Halberds, Warp Fire Throwers, a couple units of Rad Ogres spread out, some Plague Monks, Plague Priest, and a Hell Pit Abomination chilling out back in the woods there. And then over here, we're going to have a whole line of Skaven Slave Spears up in front with some more of them spread out in the front as kind of a screening force. Skaven Slave Slingers supporting. We're going to have a unit of Night Runners and 2 units of Gutter Runners with poison. It's going to be a nice little sneaky goon squad trying to run up on the flank. And then he's going to back that up with some Clan Rats with spears, shields, and a unit of Storm Vermin at the core. And then over here we've got the Warlord and 2 units of Hell Pit Abominations. These guys are going to be pretty beefy. That's going to be a tough one to deal with because these are really good at plowing through lines. They have really nice regeneration, so they can tank a ton of damage. So yeah, that's going to be it for the forces over here. The Skaven horde is going to try and take this poor peasant's farm, and let's see if we can stop them. Alright. So to start, our opponents are going to start pushing up with their ranged components here, the skirmishers moving in, and then the formations are going to start pushing. Fortunately for us, we definitely have the ranged advantage. So over here you're going to see Rad Ogres pushing up. He's trying to get his artillery in range with the Plague Claw Catapults. Hell Pit Abomination is going to start moving. But yeah, for here, we're just going to try and get as much damage with our artillery done as we can before they close in. Try and take down some of these skirmishing units before they close that gap, so they can't get at our artillery pieces. But yeah, getting some really nice shots on the Warlord back there with the cannons, and he's going to dip right out of there. Opponent doesn't want any of that sniping going on. So Gutter Runners are going to come up, get revealed here. Quarrelers are going to start swinging at them with their crossbows, just taking some pot shots. Night Runners took a little decent damage. Start dropping some artillery pieces on the Storm Vermin. But yeah, Skirmishers closing the gap. I'm going to start pushing up my Chaos Warriors just to kind of screen out that skirmish front. Move these Forsaken over in case these guys get a little too thirsty, get a little too close. Forsaken are going to absolutely tear them up. But yeah, the 2 Hell Pit Abominations coming over. That's definitely a really big threat. So fortunately we got these halberds over here. I'm going to start repositioning them to try and hold the line. You can see these gutter runners and night runners retreating after that one got totally mulched. Some Skaven slaves coming in with these long beards. Unfortunately, they get a flank charge and they're going to push on into the quarrelers. My Forsaken, I just catch them before they really get too wrapped up in that. I'm going to start trying to use them to bait him in and start pulling my halberds in. Unfortunately, they get a little bit tied up there, but he's pulling back. He doesn't want to get too wrapped up in this fight. So Sarthorael over here trying to support. But yeah, I managed to get my Chaos Warriors out here, and he wasn't paying much attention, so I just wrapped up that unit of Skaven slaves and get into these clan rats. I don't want to get my halberds too caught up in this fight, so for right now I'm going to throw them in just to stop them from pushing back into artillery. But I'm going to start reorganizing here and bringing like my Demon Spew and these Chaos Warriors up. Kind of rearrange my formation a little bit here. So we've got the Hell Pits running rampant through here. Quarrelers just doing what they can, lighting them up from point blank. Halberds a little caught up in combat over here, but totally wrecking the spears. Artillery coming in, mostly hitting his own forces. So I do a switch here. So I throw the Demon Spew in, and then I use that opportunity to pull the halberds out. Because I see that this Hell Pit's coming in on this flank, and then there's some Rat Ogres coming in over here. So I'm going to want to deal with this threat. So I'm kind of reorganizing on the fly. Hell Pit's running rampant, going to keep my halberds here, throw them into combat, pull these warriors back because that's not an engagement for them. Start reorganizing this little chunk of line. Got my Weird Spawn and some Forsaken back here. Going to throw them into combat. That Armor Sunring is going to come in handy, give my Forsaken a chance to do some good damage. Hell Cannon's still just popping shots off. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to get at it. So Forsaken shoot through that. They're going to get in here with their poison and hit the Hell Pit Abomination and these Plague Monks. Just keeping the damage up. Chaos Warriors with halberds chewing them up. Sarthorael in here doing what he can. Got these halberds over here. I'm going to start moving them across the flank to get in over here with all these Hell Pit Abominations and the Warlord hanging out on this side. They're not really needed over here anymore. So yeah, the dwarves holding the line, really pushing out, starting to get aggressive and pursue the enemies here. Really nice. Managed to get these Forsaken in with these Rat Ogres. Not the best engagement, but we want to protect this Grudge Thrower as best as possible, so they're just doing what they can for right now. Putting some decent damage in. Hell Cannon's still doing work. Grudge Thrower here still doing work. Sarthorael's just kind of running across the line, doing what he can. Got these Chaos Warriors holding the line really well against these Storm Vermin. Using the Forsaken, or the Mirror Guard and the Weird Spawn to try and tie down that Hell Pit back here, but he's going to get into the line. So we're going to start pushing our halberds in, come after some of these guys with the Hell Pit. Try and get the Demon Spew in, start poisoning some units. But yeah, these lines over here have turned to total chaos. Hell Pit's doing a great job busting through, but the dwarves over here wrapping up real nicely, coming to support my flank now with all of my heavy engagements with all these Storm Vermin, and the Hell Pit's having moved over to my side. But yeah, the artillery is still planking away, going after some targets that rally up at range. Ooh, getting a nice shot on that Warlord there. But yeah, Quarrelers just making mints of whatever is rallying up back here and running off the board. Got some supporting Longbeards hanging out. Cannons turning about, doing some good work. All freed up still. Yeah, Lord's in combat, taking out some Storm Vermin, supporting his Iron Breakers. Got the Halberds here, holding the line, trying to keep them from collapsing in and getting us around. Some more Halberds and Mirror Guard choking up Queek. We're going to move those Halberds over though and get into the Hell Pit Abomination. Forsaken getting in there, trying to rinse up some of these Storm Vermin. We're going to use Sarthorael to get in the rear and try and get some terror routes here. Hell Pit Abomination hot on his heels though. Plague Priest out here. Queek's still running around trying to get work done, chasing after Sarthorael. We're going to keep bogging him down with infantry, so he's not really going to get a good opportunity to get at Sarthorael. Sarthorael's just such a slippery guy going after that Plague Priest now. So fortunately, all of this left flank has pretty much shattered. Army losses hit, leadership's pretty much tanked. But yeah, the dwarves just absolutely mopping them up. And then yeah, we're going to get an army loss shatter. And everyone's going to end up backing out. This other player not having much faith in what he can get done, so he's just going to leave. But yeah, really good matchup. It was definitely a very tough game for the Skaven trying to bust through all that high armor. I don't think they brought the best units per se against Dwarves and Chaos, you know that's a high armor matchup. I definitely don't think the Swarm here with the Skaven Slaves was the best pick. I probably would have gone for Storm Vermin, a little higher leadership, a little more holding power. Otherwise, I would have brought more artillery, maybe more like glow bombardiers, something like that. Try and out skirmish the Chaos forces and bog down the Dwarves in the front line as well. Really surprised you didn't really see any summons either, trying to interrupt all this artillery. But yeah, only 185 losses for Chaos, 72 losses for the Dwarves. That tiered front line really, really worked out great. Um, Held the line super firm. But yeah, Sarthorael and the Lord have saved that poor, poor peasant's home. Uh, didn't get repo today. But yeah, let's look at the kills here. 18 on Sarthorael, 70 on the Chaos Warriors, 53, 93 for Mirror Guard. Always a great unit with that high melee defense. Barely taking any damage throughout that engagement. Immune to psychology, so they're not just going to rout on you if they get hit by anything too crazy. Chaos Warriors 71, 19 here. These guys ended up bogged down pretty frequently by a lot of like the chaff Skaven infantry, so I wasn't able to get a ton of work done out of them, but they did get into the hell pit sometimes and get some decent damage. These guys, though, were chasing them around all the time, just hot on their heels, milking away whatever damage they could get. Weird spawn, a good support. They were getting into the Rat Ogres, helping out with my Forsaken, trying to cut them down bit by bit in the back line so I didn't get into the artillery. Hell Cannon with 84 kills and a Chevron, not doing too bad, getting some good shots in the beginning, taking out a lot of skirmishers and helping to hit some of the regrouping units that were in the back so they didn't get back into the fight. Demon Spew, really good unit, 91 kills. Poison is super helpful. 33 on this one with 2 chevrons, probably from Rat Ogres, 6 here with a chevron, also probably from taking down Rat Ogres and things like that. It's not exactly what this unit's designed for, but in support of the Weird Spawn and Demon Spew with the poison, they're going to do okay. They're going to be able to take them down. So then Dwarves over here, 10 on the Lord, 10 on the Engineer. Really good work with him. You definitely want to bring one if you're going to have like this high amount of artillery and skirmish. His buffs are really, really nice. 77 kills on the Longbeards, 38, 50, 103, 53 here. Doing really good work. Holding super firm, barely taking any damage. 112, 82, 55 on Quarrelers. Also really, really good counter skirmishing unit. Doing tons of work. Artillery 61, 66. Grudge throwers did really well. 92 and 8 on the cannons. They did good work hitting the Warlord in the beginning, taking out high priority targets, and putting a ton of damage on those Hellpit Abominations. And then let's switch on over here to Shane. 7 kills on the Warlord. Didn't do too great. Took a ton of damage off the bat from the cannons. And then all these Skaven slaves just really didn't have good targets. None of them are armor piercing. They're not going to do much of anything, as you can see here. He was matched up on Bigmonch's side. Really not able to do anything against these high armor, high defense units. They're just not going to be able to punch through, and they're just going to get torn apart when they're hitting a solid dwarf line like that. Um, weren't able to get around the flanks because of those Forsaken in the rear supporting. Had to pull back because they were getting torn up by Quarrelers. That was just a bad engagement. But yeah, Hell Pit's not really getting an opportunity to do much either. 0 kills and 9 kills, getting taken down by all this artillery. That was really what did them in the end, was all this artillery and ranged. And like my supporting units defending them did great work, but they just weren't able to shut any of this down that the Dwarves brought, because they weren't able to cut through this line. Whenever the Hell Pit would come in, they would end up trying to move somewhere else because they would be met with a halberd. Yeah, it just wasn't really working for him. We'll get into Julius here. His line doing a little bit better. He had all the Storm Vermin with halberds. They're armor piercing, so they're not going to do as badly as standard like clan rats and things like that are going to do. So he got a couple more kills against my Chaos Warriors here and whatnot. It was a little more grindy of a fight. Warp Fire Thrower only getting 8 kills. Rat Ogres 0, 29, 14. Doing a little bit of work, but it was mostly against my Forsaken here. And a little bit on the Weird Spawn because they got tied up in the back. Good move trying to get them around the flank into the artillery. Fortunately, with the defensive position, it gives you an opportunity to really see what your opponent's doing and react to that accordingly. So as you can see with like my front line, I was able to adjust it because I saw that he was bringing the Hell Pits and the Rat Ogres onto my flank. So I try to pair that up for good engagements. Keep my halberds out of sustained combat with storm vermin because that's just not what they're needed for. Get those Forsaken in there, take over that fight, and get the halberds back so I can deal with rat ogres or hellpit abominations. Plague Claw getting 30 kills. I tried focusing it down early with the hell cannon, but I wasn't getting any good damage on it. Wasn't getting any real hits, so I just ignored it. I figure we've got high armor units, we've got the artillery advantage. Whatever that's going to do, we're going to do it tenfold. So just ignore it. Take out the skirmishers, higher priority target, and it worked out. So Queek getting 10 kills here. Plague Priest 1. Plague Monks with 20. Yeah, it was okay. This army did all right, but yeah, in the end, the Skaven tide of bodies just couldn't crack all this high armor. Yeah, well, there you go. Another win for Bigmonch and I with the 2v2. Please feel free to like, subscribe, hit the little bell button for notifications. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If there's anything I can do to make these replays more entertaining, more interesting, a little more fun, please let me know. I'm always interested in getting some feedback. But yeah, have a great day, YouTube.